Undisputed. We are live from Los Angeles. I'm Jenny Taft here with Skip Bayless, Shannon Sharp. Good morning.
Good morning.
How you doing, Gil? How you boy looking?
Looking sharp today, Shannon.
I didn't know you were a frustrated Bruce Bowen. Yeah.
I'm in the Muslim reserves.
Are you?
1 weekend a month and 2 weeks out of the year I don't eat no pork.
Really? Oh, that works. I think you dressed up for Snoop. Am I right?
Maybe a little bit.
I look very studious, don't I? I'm going to do an important interview after the show.
That's a big old bow tie.
It ain't no big.
Say.
It's a butterfly. It's called butterfly.
Oh, a butterfly bow tie.
Bow tie. You have a nice shirt on today, too. Everyone's dressed up for Snoop.
Everybody's colorful.
This is
We're
just
putting on our
ho-hum for
best.
me.
We have a big show, so much to get to today. Does Brady really have the best defense he has ever played with? And guys, Snoop Dogg, he does join us to talk live about his Steelers and LeBron. So much to get to with Snoop, but first we are going to start with the Cowboys. The Saints shut down the Cowboys offense on Sunday night, winning 12-10. In his latest column, Cowboys writer Clarence Hill asked if Dak Prescott and the offensive coordinator Kellen Moore were both exposed in the loss. Dallas had put up over 30 points in all 3 games going into Sunday night. New Orleans held the Cowboys to only 10 points and forced 2 turnovers. Dak was also held without a touchdown for the first time this season and had his lowest yardage output on the season. So, Shannon, is it a legit question to ask if Dak Prescott was exposed?
No, because, Skip, it's just one game. I think Dak is somewhere between the first 3 games that we saw and the game that we saw on Sunday night. I just think the public, what had happened is that he had played so well in the first 3 games, and I ask everybody to be cautious because those defenses, those teams weren't very good. And so Dak put up outstanding numbers, and everybody said, see, I told you, Dak is this, Dak. And I never thought Dak was as good as he was playing through those first 3 games. Now, I don't think Dak played particularly bad Sunday, Skip, but I think the difference between taking that next step, I still do not believe Dak is a top 10 quarterback, Skip. I still have him somewhere around 12, 13. There are a lot of other quarterbacks that I would take in front of Dak.
That's actually gracious of you. You must be feeling magnanimous because you got your butterfly bow tie on.
But I think the next step for Dak, in order for him to take the next step, Skip, is to win the type of game on the road that we saw Sunday night. That's what the quarterbacks, the upper tier, the Roethlisbergers, the Breezes, the Bradys, those are the type of games that you must win to get into that next tier of quarterbacks. Skip, it's easy to say it's after one game, and we're going to address about what Jerry had to say. We're going to talk about that a little later in the show, Skip. But if you think about it, other than the 2 scoring drives, the Cowboy had 1 play in New Orleans territory. That was a punt. 1 drive, Skip, in New Orleans territory outside of the 2 scoring drives. That's not good. That's not good. And I'm not willing to put all that on Dak's plate. And it's easy to say, and I'm a firm believer in this. I know it's cliche. The quarterback gets too much credit when they win, and they get far, far too much blame when they lose. I believe there's enough credit to go around when you win. There's enough blame to go around when you lose. But I do not believe Dak the book has been, there's a book on Dak. No, it's simple. The Cowboys are a running football team. And if you can make a conscious effort to stop Zeke and force Dak to throw the football, that's what teams have tried to do, Skip. It's a lot easier said than done, considering they have a really, really good, great offensive line. When you have 3 first-rounders, a second-round draft pick on your offensive line, you have a top-flight running back and a team that's committed to running the football. You normally get good things. And when you can run the football, you can play action off of it. And they were unable to do that, and they lost the ball game. But I'm not alarmed. I don't think Dak is all of a sudden Dak is terrible now. I just think Dak is somewhere between first 3 games, the game that we saw Sunday night. He's somewhere in the middle.
Interesting. No signature victories for Dak yet, but as a raw rookie, he went up to Lambeau and beat Aaron Rodgers, and then I don't know how he did it, but he beat Ben Roethlisberger in Pittsburgh. I don't know. Maybe it's just a fluke, an aberration. And then last
Didn't he lose
year,
to Marcus Mariota?
he won at Carson Wentz last year.
Didn't he lose to Marcus
and
Mariota?
He beat Drew Brees.
Lost
in
to
a
Matt
big
Ryan.
signature game.
So
he beat Matt Ryan last year in Atlanta.
The year before he lost to Matt Ryan.
Okay, but I'm just saying, you said no signature. He needs a signature victory. Then he beat Russell Wilson, outplayed him head-to-head in a playoff game.
Skip.
I don't know. I don't know. Where do you go with all those? I don't know.
Make your argument. Go ahead.
Make my argument.
Yes.
My case has been closed for years.
Clearly it's not.
You know, this whole concept baffles me to the point that it angers me, because in my career, I have never, ever seen anything like this. I'm going to say it again because here we go again. Dak Prescott is simply the most underappreciated, over-criticized quarterback ever for me. In my whole career, dating back to covering the LA Rams here in Los Angeles back in the 70s, I've never seen anything like this. So let me just quickly reiterate that Dak Prescott was the Offensive Rookie of the Year in the whole National Football League back in 2016. Dak Prescott made the Pro Bowl that year, and he made the Pro Bowl last year. Is that good? Is that those are pretty good things, aren't they? I mean, I don't know. What did
the running back do?
And last year, after Amari was acquired, Dak Prescott led the league in completions over the final 10 games of the year. That's a lot of games. And he was the star of that playoff win against Russell Wilson and Seattle, albeit at Jerry World.
What did the running back do?
And I think it's my turn.
Okay, my bad.
I think it's mine. So then he outplayed Jared Goff in a playoff game here in Los Angeles, though they did certainly lose. And by the way, the running back was a big no-show in that game, as he was Sunday night in New Orleans, but I'll get to that in just a second. So Dak Prescott led the NFL in QBR through the first 3 games, albeit against high school opponents, if you want to go that far. But he did what he had to do, and he led the whole league in QBR through the first 3 games. And if you include those first 3 games, over the previous 13 games, the Cowboys were 11-2 with him as their quarterback, which was the best record in the league over that 13-game stretch. Yet, because Dak Prescott was the quarterback of an offense that scored only 10 points at New Orleans on Sunday night and lost 12-10, our man Clarence Hill, we've had him on the show. Yes. I love Clarence Hill, but he writes in his column this line: people are again asking if Dak Prescott can win games with his arm. After all I just read to you, that resume is starting to get lengthy. That's the question people are asking. Now, is he a Twitter victim? Did 4 people on his Twitter, as he was writing his game story, say, I don't think he can win games with his arm? Are they Cowboy haters? Are they Shannon Sharp wannabes? I don't know.
Clarence Hill Jr. has been around the Cowboys long enough, followed them long enough to know what's being said about the personnel on the Cowboys.
Well, no, but I think this was being written after the game, so I'm pretty sure this is more people are asking outside of the Cowboys. That's how you can interpret it how you want to.
Yeah, I'm saying yes.
Okay.
Of course.
But not inside. Yeah. I don't think anybody is doubting the quarterback inside the locker room, because I've not heard a peep out of anybody inside that they're doubting their quarterback. In fact, I just hear the exact opposite of that. So, Dak Prescott threw 0 interceptions on Sunday night in New Orleans, because I am not counting the Hail Mary on which the slot blitzer hit him right up under the jaw and should have been called for roughing the passer.
Ribs.
Okay, well, he smashed him, and the flag should have been thrown, but it's at New Orleans, where they got robbed in the NFC Championship game. Well, that's what happened. They're not going to throw that flag, but the ball just popped up in the air and it gets picked, so I'm not counting that one.
My goodness.
So through all 4 quarters of a very close nip-tuck seesaw game, 12-10 game, he threw no interceptions and he lost 0 fumbles. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
So I can actually make the case that Dak Prescott played better than any other player on the Cowboy offense on Sunday night. Help me out. To show me somebody else. Offensive linemen, all those first-rounders, they got their golden tails whipped play after play after play. Run or pass, they got their tails whipped all night. They couldn't protect and they couldn't open holes for Ezekiel Elliott. So Dak Prescott goes into the game, and I told you this. I said up front, because you snookered me into that bet, because you already had me when this broke.
Is that what it was?
Yep, you snookered me because then it comes out that Amari had to have an MRI on Tuesday, had a bad ankle, and anybody who knows football would watch what happened. He couldn't get out of his breaks. They were able to put Marshawn Lattimore on him man-to-man the whole night, and he couldn't get out of his breaks, and twice was called for offensive pass interference push-offs. Why? Because he was so frustrated he couldn't get out of his breaks. The sweetest route runner in all of pro football has to push off. I defy you to go back in his whole career dating back to his Alabama days and find a push-off in which he was called for offensive interference because he just doesn't need it.
I mean, sometimes you get frustrated.
Yeah, well, he was
you remember
extremely
Jalen Ramsey, A.J. Green.
Okay.
Jalen Ramsey frustrated him.
I got it, but this wasn't that. This was that he couldn't push off to come out of his breaks, and obviously there's no Michael Gallup to take the pressure off on the other side because he's out with the meniscus surgery, knee scope. And that brings me to the running back. And the serious doubts I have right now, the one who might have gotten exposed on Sunday night was the running back because Zeke went for a grand total of 35 yards on 18 carries. And by the way, Kellen Moore also